Try to remember what you had for lunch 2 Mondays ago. You can't, can you? Now try to remember a conversation you had on a random Wednesday 3 years ago. Not a big one, not a fight or a confession, just an ordinary, forgettable exchange with someone you love. It's gone. It happened. You were there, fully present, fully alive in that moment, and your brain simply let it go. Here's the unsettling math. You've been conscious for roughly 8 hours a day, every day, for your entire life. If you're 30 years old, that's something like 90,000 hours of lived experience. How much of it can you actually call up right now? A few hundred hours maybe, if you're being generous with yourself. So where'd the other 89,000 go? It's not because your memory is bad, or because you weren't paying attention. It's because forgetting isn't a malfunction. It's the default setting of being human. Here's a question for you. What's the first memory you have? Go ahead, actually think about it. Most people land somewhere between ages 3 and 4. But here's the strange part. You weren't unconscious before that. You were learning language, forming attachments, recognizing faces, building the entire emotional architecture that you still run on today. All of that happened, and almost none of it survived as a retrievable memory. Scientists call this childhood amnesia, and for a long time nobody could explain it. Why would a developing brain, soaking up more information per day than any other point in life, fail to keep almost any of it? The leading answer is almost poetic. Your brain wasn't broken during these years. It was under construction. The hippocampus, the part of your brain responsible for converting experience into long-term retrievable memory, is still growing rapidly in early childhood. It's not that the memories were deleted, it's that the filing system to retrieve them didn't fully exist yet. But that only explains the first 4 years. What about the other 26? What about last Tuesday? Here's something that should bother you a little. Your brain is making decisions about what to keep and what to throw away, and it never once asked your permission. Think about your morning commute, if you have one. Can you remember last Thursday's commute specifically? Probably not. Now think about that one time something went wrong on the route. A near miss, a detour, a stranger who said something strange. You remember that one instantly. Why? Because your brain isn't a camera. It was never trying to record your life. It was trying to keep you alive. From an evolutionary standpoint, a brain that remembered every blade of grass, every ordinary footstep, every unremarkable meal would be carrying enormous biological cost for almost zero survival benefit. Memory is metabolically expensive. Your brain uses about 20% of your body's energy despite being a fraction of your body's weight. Storing everything would be like keeping the security cameras running and recording every frame forever, with no editor. So your brain built an editor, a ruthless one. It's called memory consolidation, and most of it happens while you sleep. You see, every night, your hippocampus essentially holds a meeting about your day. It decides, largely based on emotional intensity, novelty, and repetition. This is why you remember your first kiss and not the 400 ordinary dinners that came before and after it. It's why you remember the day you got terrible news down to the smell of in the room, but not what you did the day after or the day after that. Emotion is the bouncer at the door of memory. If your experience doesn't feel important enough, it doesn't get in. Have you ever wondered why trauma can feel so vivid decades later when you can't remember what you wore last week? It's not a coincidence. That's the system working exactly as designed, just not in a way that always feels kind. Here's when it gets genuinely strange. Because forgetting isn't even the most unsettling part of the story. Reconstruction is. Every time you remember something, your brain isn't pulling up a saved file like a video on your phone. It's rebuilding the memory from scratch, using fragments. And every single time you do this, the memory changes slightly. A detail shifts, and emotion bleeds in from how you're feeling right now. A conversation you had years later about the event gets quietly woven into the original. That means the version of your 10th birthday party you remember today is not the same memory you had 5 years ago. It's been rebuilt and slightly rewritten every single time you've thought about it since. Psychologist Elizabeth Loftus spent decades proving how unreliable this process can be. In her research, she showed that people could be made to remember entire events that never happened. Getting lost in a mall as a child, for example, simply by being told convincingly enough by someone they trusted that it occurred. Not coached into lying, actually believing it, describing details, feeling the emotion of an event that never happened. Sit with that for a second. If your memory can manufacture an entire false event and hand it to you with full emotional conviction, how confident can you really be in the memories you trust the most? This isn't a flaw exclusive to few people. It's universal. It's happening to you right now every time you remember anything at all. So here's the real question. Is the you of 10 years ago, the version living in your own memory, even an accurate record? Or have you been quietly rewriting your own life story for years without ever realizing the editor had never stopped working? Here's the twist that changes everything about the story. Forgetting isn't your brain failing you, it's your brain protecting you. There's a small but devastating body of research on people with hyperthymesia, a rare condition where individuals can recall almost every single day of their life in vivid specific detail. Ask them what happened on a random Tuesday 11 years ago, and they can tell you the weather, the headlines, what they ate, how they felt. You think it would be a superpower, right? Most of them would describe it as closer to a curse. Because without the natural editing of forgetting, every humiliation, every grief, every awkward moment from decades ago stays just as emotionally raw as the day it happened. There's no fading, no softening, no mercy. The past never actually becomes past. It just keeps happening on a loop forever. Forgetting, it turns out, isn't the opposite of living a full life. It's the thing that makes a full life livable. Is what allows old pain to lose its edge. Is what lets you wake up most mornings without being crushed by the full weight of every bad day you've ever had. Think about the worst moment of your life so far. Now notice, you can think about it without being instantly flooded the way you would have been the week it happened. That dulling isn't damage, that's mercy, built directly into your neurology. So here's the real answer to the question we started with. You haven't lost most of your life. Not really. You traded it. You traded 90,000 hours of raw, unfiltered footage for a small, curated highlight reel, built by the brain that has been quietly, relentlessly working on your behalf since the day you were born. Deciding what mattered, softening what hurt, keeping what shaped you. Tonight, try something. Before you fall asleep, think back over your entire day. Not in detail, just let it pass through your mind once, beginning to end. You're watching your hippocampus do its work in real time. Right now, tonight, it is deciding which 5 minutes of today you'll still remember in 20 years, and which 23 hours and 55 minutes will simply, quietly disappear. That's not loss. That's your brain doing the one thing it has done for every single person who has ever lived, making the unbearable amount of being alive into something a person can actually carry. You are not your memories. You are what's left after your mind decided what mattered.